Welcome to our vegetable production series with Sakata. Today we are talking root crop management. So root crops is specifically carrots, beetroot, Swiss chard, more or less falls under the same management, and radishes. So Alex, how are you doing?
Very well, and you?
No, good. Right, so here we are. Carrots has just emerged, if you can look here. So they're literally now 13 days after sowing. And so last time we spoke, you said that, okay, up until this stage, you want to have your topsoil just a little bit moist and everything so that you can get proper germination. And when it's emerged, then you start basically giving more water and so forth. So what's the next steps from here?
Okay, so the next steps from here is, as you can see, we're also starting to see weeds coming up. So keeping the bed clean, making sure that there's no weeds. And then the irrigation is going to be quite important going forward now. Now we want to manage the profile of the soil the whole time. You don't want, especially on carrots and beetroot, you don't want a dry period or where it gets too dry, and you also don't want to manage it too wet. You want to have the same cylindrical size, and especially with carrots, you have to manage your irrigation. So you'll definitely on every time before you irrigate, you'll dig your profile next to your bed, or on your bed next to the planting, and just have a look.
So you're talking about a profile hole, meaning that I basically dig a profile hole so that I can see what's going on in my soil.
Especially with,
because we don't have laser eyes, we can't see into the soil.
It's very important to see your profile in the soil, if it's wet or dry, and that's the way we irrigate. So we don't say 25 mils today and 50 mils the next day. We manage it by looking at the soil profile.
Why is it important to have a cylindrical carrot like this one, more or less?
Okay, that's typical what the fresh produce market is looking for, especially if we say a pre-packer type of carrot. So it's a blunt tip, a Nantes type carrot, and you can see it's nice and smooth, the carrot. It's a nice orange color, and that's typical what the market is looking for.
So it's because the market is looking for this that I actually need to do proper water management, make sure that my seed bed was prepared properly beforehand, because that's at the end of the day the product that I'm going to get a premium for. Otherwise I might just end up where it just goes to processing.
Yes.
Okay, coming back to the weeds, why is it important to get rid of the weeds? I know that everywhere people just say, okay, spray herbicide, do this, do that, just get rid of the weeds. Why?
It's very important because the moment your weeds outperforms your carrot or your beetroot or your Swiss chard, it's becoming a competition for the product that you're producing. So it's taking nutrients, it's taking sunlight away from the plants that we are growing here. So it's a competition for your plant that you're growing.
So at the end of the day, it's competing for the same resources, and we only have X amount of resources available, and if that goes towards the weeds, then you've got a yield loss at the end of the day, and less money in the bank. That's the short and the long of it.
And also you need to remember that weeds do carry diseases. They are hosts for diseases and pests, and that's why you also need to make sure that your beds are clean.
Right, so secondary to that, you're talking about diseases and pests. When we're looking at insects and stuff like that, are there any ones that I should know about that could potentially pose risks?
Yeah, I would say first of all you need to know your soils. If you've got nematode problems, carrots is not a good crop to plant on.
Not at all, because it eats you.
Yeah, there are varieties with intermediate resistance to that, but the moment you know that you've got nematode problems, rather stay away from that soils. Rest the soils, you plant other crops on there that you can manage the nematodes with. If we come to diseases, I would say aphids and thrips is definitely, they can carry viruses over to the crops, and then your
So it's not that the aphids and the thrips basically cause too much damage physically on the plant, but it's about more the risk of the viruses that they carry, and that at the end of the day is where my damage is.
Yeah, so that will be the damage that will influence definitely the marketable product that you're going to have at the end of the day. If you go to diseases, Alternaria is a big thing in summertime that we do pick up powdery mildew on these, and then also cavity spot. If your soils are very wet, especially when we're going into summer rains now, cavity spot could become a big problem.
What is cavity spot?
It's a disease that basically starts damaging the outer layer of your carrot.
Yeah.
So you can't market the product. So basically it destroys the marketable.
So and that could potentially destroy your whole crop at the end of the day.
Yes.
So and is there preventative measures for that, or is it also about making sure that your water management is correct and that you don't have soils that's overly wet?
Yeah, and that's also the reason we have the beds, the raised beds, is to keep that excess water away from our carrots and to make it a little bit easier with our irrigation, but irrigation do play a big role in that.
Okay, and then when we get to harvesting, when do I know that my carrots are ready for harvest?
Okay, carrots, usually it's not that easy. We work on basically from sowing to harvesting. That could be anything from 120 days up to 160 days, depending on the variety, on when did you plant it, the time slot of the year, if it was winter, summer crop. But an easy thing to do is basically just to take a spade, pull some of the carrots out and just have a look, you know, how big the carrots is. This is typical already a good mature size, so that you can take out.
And the same goes for beetroot and radishes as well. Last thing is that you mentioned that carrots do not want to be planted in the shade, even if I've got intermittent shade or not, or does it just be the more sun the better?
Well, I would say it's better to have full sun. Even if you get morning sun and then it's late afternoon shady again, that could influence the growth of the plant.
So also important, make sure that you know where you plant your carrots, and if you want to see how you need to plant your carrots, check out one of our other videos that we did specifically around the sowing of root crops. There's a lot more videos coming with our Sakata vegetable production series, from fertigation specific vegetables like carrots. We're going to do a bunch of stuff on tomatoes, cabbages, the whole lot. So yeah, make sure that you go and have a look at those. Also, if you've got any questions, comment below, and we will make sure that someone from Sakata comes back to you, or alternatively there will be a link. You can ask them a question there on top or below, depending on where you're watching it. So yeah, make sure that you stay tuned for all our videos. Till next time, cheers.